carbohydrate, glucose. That is eventually broken down into another molecule, and then another molecule, and they keep getting simpler and simpler. And ultimately, even fat eventually is broken down into water.
You just breathe it out, urinate it out.
Yep. And that's why we need oxygen. We turn it eventually into water.
Yeah.
But it's got to be deconstructed along the way.
And that's what Exercise Phys is all about. How that gets deconstructed over many molecular processes.
Absolutely,
with very complex enzymes and names.
Yes. Yeah. If it were just, it'd be simple, everybody would understand it for just one step, fat turns into water.
Boom.
No, there's, like you said, there's a few steps in between there.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate for my studies in your class.
It does make it more challenging
it does make it more
take the class and to teach the class.
Yeah. Can you imagine how easy that test would have been?
Yeah.
I would have liked that. Before we call it, I want to discuss real quick. The people need to know that the champion of the Home Brewing Association,
American Home Brewer Association, Home Brewer of the Year is me.
Home Brewer of the Year. Yeah. And that's across the nation. What was it, like 6-something thousand
it was about
participants?
Well, there were over 3,000 brewers and individual brewers with over 8,400 different entries, different beers. And mine was judged to be the best out of all of those this past year. So one might wonder how I've combined my passion for exercise with beer making.
One would wonder that. Yes.
To be quite honest, I to a large extent, I run for beer.
Okay.
Because if I don't run for beer, I get it really big. So
calories in, calories out.
Exactly. Yeah. No, really, I've always enjoyed craft beer, and started to learn how to make it quite some time ago. And I just really enjoy the science of it. Because it's a lot like Exercise Phys. There is a lot of biochemistry in making beer, and if you understand the biochemistry, you become a better brewer.
Right.
And I also enjoy the art of it, and I of course enjoy the final product of it.
Have you decided to ever try and sell your final product to a local brewery in the area? I feel like they'd be all over that.
I have brewed here with brewers in town. My award-winning beer from this past year, the White IPA, I will be doing with a brewery here in town.
Oh, which
in the near
brewery?
Future. I will not disclose that at this point.
Really?
No, not on the air.
Okay.
And
how will you find out then when it's? Because I'm sure some people are going to want to get.
You will know if you follow craft beer here in town. You will know.
It's called the what again? The White
Nuclear Winter.
Nuclear Winter. That's the name of it.
Nuclear Winter. Yes, Nuclear Winter.
Sounds intense. No wonder it won.
You're not going to forget that name.
No.
So, I just enjoy the process, and just being able to create something like that. It's not all that hard. I mean, really, if you can cook, you can make beer. Whether or not you can make good beer is the question.
Turns out you're really good at it.
Apparently, I make great beer.
Yeah, apparently you're really good at it. Nuclear Winter.
Yeah, so my wife and I, she's a PhD as well, so we're two docs. So our brewery's named Paradox.
That's good.
And we brew beer on a regular basis, and I always have beer on tap in my house. But going professional is a whole different thing.
Is that going to be the retirement plan after you're done teaching? You're going to go into the brewing industry?
That could be. Right now I have a great job. I absolutely love what I do.
Yeah.
I get to work with students. I get to fill them hopefully with a passion for this topic. And I get to travel the world.
Yeah.
And I'd lose really all of that if I got into the brewing business.
That's true.
And I am happy brewing the way I do now. I'm going to be teaching at Wichita State in the spring, teaching a class on home brewing. So if you're interested in taking that.
Kind of came full circle. I mean, you went from billiards and now, 20, 30 years later, now you're back to brewing, which, both things that happen in a bar.
Absolutely. So I was a billiards professor, and now I'm a beer professor.
Yeah. That's good. Well, let's kind of wrap it up. Well, you get to choose which question you want to answer.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and I think I know which one you're going to choose. What is one thing you want all your students to walk away with? So the one thing your students to walk away with. The other question would be, what keeps you up at night? Which one do you want to answer?
Well, I'm going to start with the first one.
So you're going to answer both?
Yeah, of
okay,
course.
Awesome. Because when we were talking beforehand, you didn't sound too confident about what keeps you up at night.
Yeah, I sleep well, but I'll let you know here.
Okay.
You know, with my students, a lot of my students in exercise phys walk in with mostly fear. They know it's going to be challenging. They have negative opinions of what to expect, and my initial challenge is one, make them realize that the material is approachable and that they can apply it somewhere. And once we get through the semester, I really want them to have a much better appreciation of their own body and how their body responds and adapts to exercise, and being able to use just a little bit, at a minimum, just a little bit of the information that we cover at some point in their career. I had a physical education student a year ago, and he really didn't have the scientific background that our exercise science students have, and struggled throughout the course. But he ended up getting a job as the head swim coach at a community college here in Kansas, and came back to me and said, didn't know it at the time, but absolutely now, at this point in my life, the most important class I ever took. I didn't realize I was going to have to use all that information. But now as a coach, he is finding it incredibly important.
Yeah.
To be able to train his swimmers using all the stuff that we talk about in exercise physiology. So that's just it's a good story of somebody that's really been able to use everything from the class. I'm passionate about the area. I'm truly interested in what goes on. It's a thing of beauty, how the whole body works and comes together to allow us to exercise better. And I just want students to be able to see that.
Yeah.
That doesn't really keep me up at night. I'm sure my students are kept up at night preparing for my class and worrying about the class. But, what probably the biggest thing, professionally for me to address gets back to that connecting the research to the practice side. I deal with older adults. So how do we get older adults, one, to be more active, and two, to engage in programs that have been shown scientifically to be of benefit. And that's not something that I can do. I can provide programs. I can help translate those programs. But it's the trainers and the facilitators who have to take that information and actually apply it. Doesn't do any good sitting in journals.
Yeah.
It's got to be used. Now, how that happens, that's a bigger issue than just that myself can answer.
Yeah.
Can solve.
You just lie there and you just imagine that cup trying to pour into that other cup, and then just that drip.
Exactly.
That infinite drip going down the side.
Infinite drip.
Of wasted peer-reviewed articles.
Because scientifically, we're always going to be able to fill that top glass.
Yeah.
That's always going to be full. It's just how do we pour it into the other cup? That's the challenge.
Yeah. That's good. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Rogers. Everyone's going to really like that. Appreciate your time.
Very welcome. Thanks for the invitation and setting this all up.
Absolutely.
Fun.
Have a good day.
Thanks.